This video will
Our
identify
brothers, the
who is actually
Taliban.
to blame for the spread of extremism and violence.
We won't comment
Furthermore,
on
we
them
will see what the
from a
Quran has
political
to say
point of
about
view,
these issues.
because that's not the nature of our talk today.
In terms of inciting prejudice and oppression,
But let us comment
both the
on
US
them
and
for an
Israeli
accomplishment
governments practice
that
religious
they and
ethnic
only
profiling.
they were able to do in the
First,
modern world.
The U.S. Supreme Court endorsed racial profiling in times of national
In the modern
emergency
world
to
between
justify
America,
the involuntary
Great Britain,
internment of
China,
110,000
Russia,
Japanese Americans on the
Germany,
sole basis of
France,
ethnicity and
Japan,
national origin during World War II.
Italy.
Second, the U.S.
Between the
detained
major
1,200
countries in the
Arab
world,
and Muslim immigrants after
The
9/11.
drug trafficking
Human Rights Watch
is a
points out
business
that
and
the
an
U.S.
industry
government contradicted its
of over
anti-prejudice
$78
message by
billion
directing its
a year.
anti-terrorism efforts at Arabs and Muslims, which included
$78
secret immigration
billion a
detention
year.
and FBI interviews of thousands of
Can you
non-citizens.
imagine what kind of
Third,
industry it is?
Israeli military regulations
And
permit
can you
detention
imagine
of Palestinians
the
for 18
tragedy,
days without cause,
the disparagement,
interrogation
the
for another
disease
180 days,
that drugs
and indefinite
have
detainment
brought
without
in the
charges
modern
or
world
a
as a
trial
result of
under
this industry?
administrative detention?
Yet,
Since the illegal occupation
all
of
of
the
these
Palestinian
sophisticated
territories in
countries
1967,
have found no
about
solution for the drug problem.
650,000 Palestinians have been detained.
In fact,
15% of
they
the
have
population,
chosen
with over 11,000 still in Israeli jails
benefit,
without due process.
profit,
Fourth,
and
the
regulate
previous
the
U.S.
drug traffic.
government and its
because
allies
they are
were also
unable to stop
responsible
it.
for the torture of Muslims in
Yet,
Guantanamo, Abu
consider
Ghraib,
this.
Israeli and other prisons.
The Taliban in
In
Afghanistan
contrast, the Quran
became
ordains
an official
kindness and
government.
justice.
Lo, Allah
After
enjoineth justice and kindness.
the defeat of the
There is
Russians.
absolutely no exception towards any peaceful
And at
member
that
of other
time,
religions.
Afghanistan was
Allah
the major
forbiddeth you not
theater,
those who warred not
corridor
against you
in the
on account
world
of
for
religion,
drugs.
and drove you not out from your homes,
61%
that ye should
of
show
all
them
the
kindness
heroin of the
and deal
world was
justly with them.
produced between Afghanistan
Furthermore,
and China.
just treatment is required even in the presence of hatred towards any people.
And the Russian
Be steadfast
gangsters,
witnesses for Allah in
criminals,
equity,
were the ones
and
that
let not
controlled
hatred
this
of any
industry.
people seduce you, that ye deal
part of the
not
war
justly.
of Afghanistan had to do with drugs.
Therefore, while numerous Western
Not oil,
governments
not
carry
gas,
out
but drugs.
wide-scale racial profiling and abuse of their own
When
declared civil rights, Islam requires just treatment
The government
of
of
all
Russia
people,
was defeated
regardless of race or religion.
and pushed out of Afghanistan, Afghanistan become immersed in
In
civil war.
terms of
We know that,
terrorism
isn't
against
it?
civilians,
Civil war.
several Western governments commit violence
That civil
against
war had two
civilians as a
sides.
military strategy.
The atheists,
The definition of
socialists,
terrorism is
the
the use of
communists
violence
among the
against
Afghanis,
civilians to instill fear,
and the
which
Muslims,
is strikingly identical
who wanted
to the
to follow
barbaric
the
West
Quran and the
government's shock
Sunnah.
and awe doctrine, compiled by Ullman and Wade,
The North,
which aims to achieve
the Northern
strategic
Alliance,
shock and awe
who
of the
themselves
opposing forces,
were
their
related
leadership,
to the
and
Russian
populace.
gangsters, who
Targets
were
in each
mostly
category include
Muslims who had
military,
adopted
civilian,
socialism,
industrial,
atheism,
infrastructure, and society.
who themselves were
The
criminals.
objective is to apply brutal levels of
They
power
wanted
and
to
force.
continue the enterprise
The
of
ability
drugs
to shock
after the
and awe
Russians moved
ultimately
out.
rests in the ability
They
to
wanted to
frighten,
continue
scare,
the
intimidate,
industry
and
of
deceive.
prostitution,
The
gambling,
strategy
all of this
includes
here.
non-military targets, which
the
indiscriminately
Muslims said
result
no.
in civilian casualties.
We won't continue
The
that.
doctrine also cites
want to establish
terrifying
Islam.
examples of purely civilian
And they
targets,
began to have
such
wars
as
between them.
firebombing of Tokyo City.
One of the groups
140,000
that
civilians
were
were killed
insisting
and
upon the
another million
Quran
injured.
and the Sunnah
Hiroshima
were called
and
the
Nagasaki,
students.
with 340,000
In the
total
Arabic
deaths.
language, the students is
B-52 raids in
Talib.
Vietnam. 2
or
million
Taliban.
Vietnamese civilians were killed from each side.
On
during
one
that war.
occasion,
I got numerous individuals on the road.
those
Take those out.
atheists,
Take them out.
socialists, communist
In Afghanistan, nearly
Afghanis,
5,000
those
Afghan
criminal
civilians
Afghanis,
were killed in the first 2
they
months of their
entered some villages and they raped the
Iraq,
women.
more than 100,000 civilians
And some
were
of those
killed
women
as collateral
escaped.
damage since the start of that
And they
war in
ran
2003.
to seek
Israel
protection
also
with
uses
those
tactics
students.
in southern Lebanon and Gaza,
And those
which has
students,
led
they
to utter
sought to get a
civilian
fatwa
devastation.
from their
In
shuyukh.
contrast, Islam
What should we
strictly
do
prohibits
about these
violence
Muslims
against civilians.
who did this act?
The Quran
Those
unequivocally
scholars
prohibits
said
killing
they
any
should be
innocent person.
punished They are
Whosoever
criminals,
killeth a
and
human
the
being
hukum
for other
is to
than
find them
manslaughter
and
or
kill
corruption
them
in the
as
earth,
criminals.
it shall be as if he had killed all mankind.
Those students then took
The
their
Quran
weapons
also protects enemy combatants
and
who
gathered
offer
themselves
peace even
together
during the
as a
battle,
group
let alone
and called
innocent
themselves
civilians.
the Taliban.
When ye go forth to fight
And
in
they
the way of
began
Allah, be careful to discriminate, and
to
say
seek
not
the
unto
honor
one who offereth you
of
peace,
those women
thou
who were
art
raped.
not a believer, seeking the
And
chance
they went
profits
from
of this
village
life,
to
so that
village,
ye may despoil
town
them.
to town, until
Therefore,
in a
while
2-year
Western
period of
governments
time,
carry out
they conquered
terrorism
all
and
of
violence
Afghanistan.
on civilians as a military policy,
years,
Islam's military
conquered
rules
all
of
of
engagement
Afghanistan,
undeniably protect civilians.
except only 19%. 80% of Afghanistan they conquered in 2
In
years.
terms of forcing beliefs on others,
Who
many
are they?
previous U.S.
They did
governments
not have
initiated
sophistication.
unjustified military aggression to force their
They were
agendas on
walking,
others under false
riding
pretexts,
donkeys
such
and
as spreading
horses,
democracy and national security.
fighting on foot,
First, the
fighting
Tonkin
for the
Gulf
honor
Resolution
of
was
their women,
passed to invade
for the honor of their
Vietnam,
country,
based
for the
on
honor of
supposed attacks
Islam.
by North Vietnamese on U.S. ships.
And in 2
But
years'
the
time,
LBJ
they
tapes showed that
subdued
this
the
incident
entire
never
country.
happened. Second,
Of
when
course.
the U.S. demanded from the government of
They were not
Afghanistan
sophisticated in
They
their
will hand over
knowledge.
the terrorists,
They did not have universities.
where they will
They
share
did
in
not
their
have
fate.
the
institutions.
Afghani ambassador's
Even
reply
in
was
most of
reasonable. If
Afghanistan,
America
there
has
was not a
proof, we are ready
standing
for the
hospital.
trial of Osama bin Laden in light of the evidence.
But they established what they called
Instead of sharing any evidence
Islamic
against bin Laden
Emirate of
any
Afghanistan.
crime to avoid the war, this choice to invade
the only
has caused
standing
over 3
Islamic
million excess
emirate in the
Afghan
world
deaths.
at that time.
Third, the U.S. invaded
Yes, they
Iraq
were
with
ragtag.
falsified evidence
They were not
without a
sophisticated.
trace of
But
any
they had
nuclear
honor
program
and
or
love for
weapons of
Allah
mass
subhanahu wa ta'ala
destruction.
inside their hearts.
Those weapons of mass destruction got to be somewhere.
And we don't know, as Muslims, we don't know any connection with the Taliban
Nope,
to
no
September
weapons
the
over
11th.
there.
Let's be clear about that. We don't know, we don't have any evidence, any proof that they had
Maybe
any
under
connection
here.
to that. Except that
Over 1 million
They would not
violent
give
Iraqi deaths are
up
directly
their brother,
attributed to the invasion,
Osama
with
bin
another
Laden.
1 million non-violent excess deaths.
we don't make any
These
comments
figures
about
exclude
what
the
happened
200,000
because we don't
violent
know.
Iraqi deaths from the first Gulf War.
But we
and
don't indict
2.6
people without
million
evidence.
excess and avoidable Iraqi
And we
deaths
certainly don't
caused by the US
indict a
embargo
country
between 1990 and
Because
2003.
someone is living there whom
Fourth,
someone else
since
feels
September
is indicted.
2000, 7,500 Palestinian homes have
But
been
let me get
completely
back to the
demolished,
issue.
with tens of thousands more damaged and left uninhabitable. The
Afghanistan,
enclosure and isolation of
came
Gaza
under
has
the
left
rule of the
80%
Taliban.
of the Palestinian population in
And they were
poverty
faced
and
with
in an
a
unimaginable
challenge.
humanitarian crisis.
what are they going to
It is
do
the Israeli government
with the drug
is forcing
industry
their religious
which they
belief
found
of the
in
Jewish promised
Afghanistan?
land on Arab Muslims and Christians. This has
The
caused
Taliban made a decision.
400,000 excess deaths in Palestine and southern Lebanon. Fifth,
From a point of
Israel's
honor,
oppression of the
from a point of
Palestinians
morality,
with a complete financial
a
and
point of
political
dignity
support
and
of the US,
decency,
with $156
from a point of
billion
Sharia,
in direct
they could
aid
not
by
support
2006,
and allow
another $10
drug
billion over
trafficking
the
to
next
exist
10
in
years.
Afghanistan.
The U.S. has also
So what did they
vetoed
do?
42 UN resolutions that
They
support
began to
Palestine.
punish
The
those
US
who
even
held
prevents
drugs,
countries from
those
showing
who sold
solidarity
drugs,
with the plight of
and they
the
began to
Palestinians,
imprison
such
those
as in
that used drugs.
2006 when Condoleezza Rice warned
Then
Norway
they gave an
not to
option
boycott Israeli
to the
drugs.
farmers
The
who were
US
the
and its
growers of
allies
poppies
refused to
in
accept
Afghanistan,
democratically
the
elected
major
Hamas
crops for
government,
drugs,
which
isn't
won
it?
by an overwhelming
They
majority,
told them,
despite the
"We will
zealot
give you
US
the land
government's fundamentalist
where you are growing the
claims of
poppies.
spreading
You
democracy."
take the land,
In
but you must
contrast
grow
to
another
such
crop.
political oppression, the
You
Quran
must grow a
guarantees
different crop.
religious freedom in several verses.
But if
There
you
is
don't
no
grow another
compulsion
crop,
in religion.
then we will bury
And
you
if thy
on
Lord
that
willed,
land.
all who are in the earth would have believed together. Wouldst
That's
thou,
the only
O
option they gave them.
compel men until they are believers?
In a year and a half after
It
the
is truth
fatwa
from the
came
Lord of
about
you
this
all.
issue,
Then whosoever will, let him
A year and a
believe,
half.
whosoever will, let him
the
disbelieve.
drug trafficking and the growing
Furthermore,
of
the
drugs
Quran prohibits
and the
aggression
manufacturing of
against
drugs in
peaceful people.
Afghanistan was
Fight in the way of
3%.
Allah against those who fight against you.
How?
But begin
How did an
not
unsophisticated
hostilities.
group of students
As a result,
Without
Western
government,
governments exercise
without
militant
sophisticated
and
institutions.
unjust elective wars for ulterior motives, while Islam
How did
guarantees
they
religious
do this?
freedom and
How did
prohibits
they
starting such
eliminate?
wars. In conclusion, Western governments carry out prejudice, terrorism, and militancy on a colossal scale, causing the death of 8 million Muslims in recent years. These atrocities are to blame for Muslims carrying anti-Western signs, praying against their oppressors, and even for the violent reaction of some misguided Muslims.
There is nobody like them today, the Mujahideen. When we speak about them, when we hear about them, we move our heads up high. We are proud of them because they are our sons. They are the ones who are the lions of Tawheed. They are the lions of Jihad. They are the lions of this ummah. When they roar, the kings and the queens, the presidents, prime ministers stand still to listen to those people. They left their women, they left their children to go and fight for the sake of Allah. Who amongst us left their women and left their children? Who amongst us left their millions to go and fight for the sake of Allah? They left their houses and their palaces to go and fight. They sleep in the caves. The skies are their blankets. The ground that they sleep on is their mattress. The rocks and the stones that they sleep on are their pillows. How dare anybody attack them? They are the people of Isa. Because of them we move to our head up high. Anybody who attacks them are from the kuffar and from the munafiqeen. Nobody loves them, but they are muwahhid and but they are Muslim. We are the ones who should follow them, my dear brothers and sisters. There isn't nobody on this earth today like them. Nobody. We should not say oof against them. When we speak about them with adab. Because maybe they are the ones who want shuhada, which Allah mentioned, together with the Anbiya, who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned from amongst us. Yet Muslims go to attack them day and night. The little that you can do for them, you do not even do.